Get ready for a new version of the GHI podcast. It's going to be like the report and a podcast mixed into one. We have to upgrade some equipment. We don't have all the cameras into this system yet. Once we have that, it'll be a little bit easier, and then we'll have our whole show set up prior to and going through the computer. But today we're gonna have to do a little bit of editing afterwards. It should be all right. Yeah. GHI report.
Every town should have a Punisher. The people that have intelligence, that have open minds, they will still have an open mind.
Fucking life. Not a black person without a life.
To me, I feel like it's a little bit of a slap in the face to this country.
GHI.
Do you know what that is? Yeah, that's faggot. And Polish people all look the same.
Welcome to GHI Peeps. I am here with H. We have a little bit of a new format for you. We're moving into the new studio and we're trying some stuff out. And we're going to figure out how we can do some live broadcasts in the future because this year we're going to be releasing POP, Pissed Off Patriots, call-in show. But we got a lot to get to today, so I'm going to get right to it. Now, President of all charges. What do you think about that, H?
I think it's fine.
I think it's
fine. It's because there was no charge to begin with.
There was no charge to begin with. However, there's one thing that did happen positive for the Democrats. Mitt Romney has now become the most popular Democrat in Washington, D.C. Like this guy's son worked for Burisma too, or one of those companies, didn't he? Unbelievable. Like, can you be any more transparent?
Flip-flopper.
Flip-flopper.
Yeah, we're gonna throw that name up there too.
The flip-flopper.
Now, so it kind of went like a three-way punch here. Strong State of the Union by the president. Next day gets acquitted. What do they got? You know, what do they got, H?
Well, they're gonna come back and say that well, anybody would be acquitted. You know, Jeffrey Dahmer would have been acquitted if there was no witnesses. But that was the most insane argument I saw in Facebook comments was Jeffrey Dahmer would have been acquitted too if there was no witnesses called to this trial as well. Are you kidding me? They found bodies in a fucking freezer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where are the bodies in the freezer for Trump's, like...
There's not even a crime on the... There's not even a crime.
The acquittal, I mean, it should have been thrown out on face. There shouldn't even been a deliberation about witnesses or any of this. Because there was no crimes. There was no high crime or misdemeanor to start.
I was reading about I remember reading seeing that, you know, under Obama and Biden, what Biden did with Ukraine was basically... They did the same thing that Trump did. They withheld military aid. Huh? Really, in real military aid. Because all they did was they sent them, you know, non-lethal aid. Yes. So basically blankets, medical supplies, things of that nature, which really they didn't need. They needed guns and missiles and rockets to fight off what they needed to do. So what was the point of actually... sending that? It was
wasting money.
It was waste of money and a farce to say, "Oh, we're doing something."
Exactly.
Which is what government does constantly is, "Oh, we're going to pretend to do something just so that the opposition can't say we didn't do anything." But in reality, that's what they did. Mm-hmm. And what did Trump do? He withheld military aid, right?
But he did.
But in reality,
so what did he do? The gist of the call was, and they didn't release the whole transcript, but the gist of the call was. Listen, your prosecutor did some bad shit with the Democrats and Biden. You got rid of them. How about you take a look into that?
It seems perfectly reasonable to me. Actually, you know what it seems to me? It seems like his duty. It's kind of what... not only is it his duty as the president, it's also concurrent with the agreement, the treaty signed, last presidency, mind you, the treaty signed to share data to outroot corruption in both nations. So he was honoring a treaty that the House and Congress passed.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, yeah, it makes
You
no sense.
know it is because this is just a clear cut waste of time. Just to show that we're doing something. The Democratic Party, we're doing something to appease our voter base who blindly hates Trump, right? Blindly hates
Overton
Trump,
window.
and just they're fishing, digging, looking for stuff where it doesn't really exist.
And yeah,
You
exactly.
can find so many things that, if you truly wanted to, but they don't, because they know that if they truly dug up dirt on Trump,
They would get,
real dirt,
they would get destroyed.
it would suck them into.
Yes, exactly.
Not just because of his presidency, going back to his business dealings with the government and with people.
Yep.
If Pelosi and all these people really truly got into the nitty gritty, and I know they do, I know they have information, probably tons of information, whatever they have. But the problem is, I suspect, is if they take him down the way they could take him down truly, they would pull either themselves or their close friends down with him.
State of the Union.
Yes.
All right, so now moving on. Strong State of the Union by the president. It was hysterical to watch Pelosi in the back, losing her dentures.
Cue the circus music. Dun, 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 dun.
Ripping up at the end. You know what? Can you pull up that Anthony Brian Logan bit and read that out to the people for us?
Anthony Brian Logan bit.
Scene 3.
Oh, there it is. Oh, look at this guy, Anthony Brian Logan. These great American people's accomplishments and dreams are what Nancy ripped up last night. But it's fine, because Trump can rip up the articles of impeachment today and keep doing what's best for America.
That's right.
There you go.
Go to 4.
There you go. Like, it's nonsense. It's nonsense.
It's total nonsense.
You know?
Pile of garbage.
All right.
Okay, so now one of the honorable mentions of the night, which was excellent by President Trump. 100-year-old, once Colonel Charles Mickey was honored by the president. His great-grandson was actually also honored. Achieving student, looking into aviation, wants to become part of the Space Force. He tied it into his Space Force comments. And it's amazing that he wants to follow in the footsteps of his historic great-grandfather, who was actually made a brigadier general by President Trump. And what people are failing to miss about this, on the 4th, he's over 100 years old, made a brigadier general. His pension just went up hundreds of thousands of dollars. Okay, I don't know what the pension is, but I know it's in the hundreds of thousands of dollars for generals. Now, granted, he's only 100 years old. If he looked to be extremely healthy, so 5 more years. But even if he only lived another 2 more years, think about that boost of money that he doesn't need. That might help buy his great-grandson a house when he joins the Space Force. So good on President Trump for recognizing a man that fought in 4 wars for the United States, was a founding member of the Tuskegee Airmen, highly decorated, perfect person to honor, rightfully so, and the extra bonus of money, good. Good on the administration. Good call. All right.
Sports.
There it is. You know, I went to Seton Hall, and I love just Seton Hall basketball. Big win today against Georgetown, 78-71. We rise to 17-5. That loss the other day was rough. Dropped us to 12, but we have redemption Saturday at 2:30 p.m. against number 10 Villanova. Bragging rights for the Big East. Go Pirates!
So,
in the world of Twitter, of course, interesting things always happen.
And this tweet that was going around the other day showing Ben Carson in the middle of an aisle of a bus or a plane or something with a bunch of people working on the Trump campaign. And of course, you know, the left, they go ahead and they start talking about racism. What was the lady's name who did that tweet, do you know?
Let me look it up here real quick. Her name was Christina Wong, and oddly enough, on her Twitter, she has funnily, is that gonna work?
Funnily. Hey,
But,
it's like Bigley.
You know, have the check mark. She has a snowflake next to her name.
She has a snowflake instead of a check mark next to her name. That's classic. Well, that makes a lot of sense here. So anyway, Don Jr. goes ahead and just wrecks the whole thing by putting out a picture of where the cabinet member was sitting. Carson was in first class with the rest of the big boys. He's just so magnanimous that he went to take a picture with everybody else. And here they go, jumping on it. They always just jump on it, don't they, H?
Of course, they find a picture that sort of looks like what they wanted to show. They take a picture, take it out of context, and make it to suit their narrative. That's it.
It's, you know what? It's just like impeachment.
I suppose you were looking for this? Or was it this?
So most people know how I feel about the soft racism and bigotry of the left. It's evident everywhere. And, you know, this change of the language is just ridiculous because words mean what they mean. And if you use a word in a hurtful way to one person, it might not, you can use it, that's not hurtful to another. And no word is hurtful to anyone if it doesn't have anything to do with them. So, you know, GHI put out a new meme that's growing on Minds. For all you Minds watchers and mem followers, we're going to have a little extra of the show. You can see the extra footage only on Minds. It'll be on Minds exclusive. We appreciate the support we've gotten there. So, basically, what I want to talk about is they say things, if somebody says something and they take offense to it, they want to take offense for other people, on behalf of other people, and it's crazy. You want to read that, Mem?
Aren't you offended? Why? I'm not a regressive leftist, but apparently you think I'm a retard. So fuck you.
Exactly.
Because like a person with Down syndrome should be offended. What you're saying is that person's a retard, and that's why they should be offended. They're not a retard. They have a condition that does make learning a little bit slower for some, but it's a scale. It's different for everybody. They're certainly not retarded. You know, a person being slow, a person that thinks the Billy Bush tape proves Trump is a misogynist, is being slow. They're being retarded because, you know, he's talking about basically high price women that fucking gold dig. They're scum. Women and men can both be scum. And, you know, him talking like that about them, it's true. It's a true statement. He wasn't talking about somebody's mother. He wasn't talking about somebody's decent daughter. You know, he was talking about a piece of shit that's a gold digger. Come on now. That person's being retarded. But, you know, a person with Down syndrome is not retarded. That's their condition, okay? They're not purposely being slow. They're not ignoring facts of reality that they know are there, okay? They just have a learning disability. Get with it, people. Stop trying to ban language. What do you think about that, Hubert? What do you think about that?
I think banning language is retarded.
I think banning language is retarded too. It definitely slows down the process of communication.
Yes, it does.
All right, so now the main focus of tonight's podcast discussion is all this nonsense about there was the referee that made a young black man cut his hair to wrestle in the championships because he had braids, and now I'm hearing about people getting fired because someone's saying it's unprofessional. Listen, that's people's natural friggin' hair, and it's done up. You know how painstaking it is to do that and to make it look nice and attractive. I think a lot of women that have braids are extremely attractive. Okay, it's not a bad look by any means. It doesn't make any sense to me. That's how do you? And people that get outraged are like people with green hair. You know, like where do these people get off? What do you think about this, H?
I don't remember what the whole wrestling thing was. Wasn't the excuse for safety?
Safety? It's hair.
I mean, that's what they.
Well, did they make any of the white or Hispanic young guys cut their long hair?
Yeah.
Did they?
Not that I recall.
If they did, then that's the rules.
Yeah. We don't know if they did or not.
But we don't.
Because that's the story was focused on that one kid. You know, we don't know what happened. Maybe he just refused to, and the other guys did it already. You know, with
True.
Quietly, oh, these are the rules of my team. I have
That's
long hair that's past my shoulders or whatever, and I gotta cut it to be on the wrestling team.
That's perfectly reasonable, but we don't know. But as far as ladies getting fired for an unprofessional look, that's a whole other. That's a civil rights violation because that's your hair.
Well, it depends on what field you're in.
If you have long hair and it's a danger, then all women have to cut their hair.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know.
If you're a cop. You can't be a cop walking around with 2 foot long dreadlocks.
Oh, sure. I mean, instances like that, but that's not what we're talking. We're talking about a professional setting. We're not talking about a blue collar job.
It also depends on what kind of image the corporation or the company you work for wants to portray.
But how could somebody's natural hair be unacceptable? Because it's just a natural hair and it's a completely legitimate way of styling it that's common and normal.
It is, but it is, and that's it is what it is. But I'm just saying from a corporate standpoint, the company doesn't want to, because if you want to talk about stereotypes and corporations like to stay away from stereotypes. Let's say I'm company X. I don't want to be associated with people with dreadlocks because people with dreadlocks are associated with marijuana use, and I don't want my people that work for me to have dreadlocks.
Okay, so is that in the company handbook? And if it's if it's in the company handbook and she didn't have the braids prior to being hired, which I find very doubtful because it takes a long time to grow enough hair to do that, and it's painstaking and has to be redone. If that's her hairstyle, she's probably going to have that quite
Typically,
often.
a company where you have client-facing or public relations and they're very media-centric, they would have stuff like that in their handbook.
But okay, so then if in that case the person would know
Just
ahead
like
of time.
the incidents with the casinos. The casinos say how many people are overweight or that want to be cocktail waitresses have sued casinos and lost.
Okay.
Because to be a cocktail waitress, you gotta wear the skimpy outfit. You gotta sell drinks. You gotta do this, and you can't be 200 pounds walking around selling things. And that's in the handbook. You have to maintain a certain weight level.
Okay.
Same thing with.
But so basically, what this comes down to was this a policy that was there before or after?
Yeah.
Because if it comes after, she has to be grandfathered in because, for God's sakes, it's her natural hair. She's not putting on a crazy wig. She's not dyeing it. She's not doing anything like that. You can't just make a policy like that and then fire somebody. That's an abuse. That's abuse of their civil liberties because because that wasn't part of the contract of hiring her.
Yes.
The company is also
Unless
bound.
she changed into a position where, she's now client facing and, they don't want.
It still matters if they didn't make that call before she moved into that position. She would have to know, but prior to.
Yes. So she's going to set up. She has to know the rules and regulations of that position and what it entails.
And if that wasn't said to her, then the company
that's a
at
blatant
fault.
violation.
Yeah.
That's
okay.
just blatant.
And as for as for the wrestler, it's a safety thing. I don't know. I just think it's kind of weird to make stereotypes. Stereotypes change over time, and you know what though? This hairstyle will not. This hairstyle is a very common hairstyle. It's a very presentable hairstyle. It would be one thing if it was just an outrageously, flock of seagulls piece of shit hairstyle. It's not. It's a completely normal, regularly presentable, natural friggin' hairstyle. So this just seems very insane to me, and I would urge companies to be like, be yourself. If you're a freak, we won't hire you. But having braids, when you have a close crop hair, guess what? It's a perfectly normal thing to do. So that's I's take on it. Anything else on that, H?
I don't know. You talk about where do you draw the line? Where's hair? How about face tattoos? There's those memes that get around with these guys that have like face tattoos all over the place, and that says, "Why can't I get a job?"
I think making your hair braiding your hair so that you can have longer hair is not the same as altering your face, because you can make the argument, well, they're altering their hair by braiding it, but really what they're doing is just they're allowing it to grow because it's a closed crop hair. So they're really not altering themselves. They're actually making it more presentable.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a different kind of concept there, in my opinion.
Yeah, it goes to define what is the norm. Like you have in an office setting, you have business attire. Well, what defines business attire? It's not. If you look at a company handbook or whatever, they say Monday through Thursday business attire. What does that entail? Everybody knows it's suit and tie.
Yeah,
or whatever. What is business casual? It's kind of.
You're back in college but you belong to one of those
polo
white
shirt and khakis.
Yeah, with one of those white friggin' frats.
So what is the definition of normal? All right, you altered your hairstyle or your hair.
Well, I would assume that the definition of normal is what's in the handbook for the company.
Yeah.
And if it's not in there, guess what? Sorry, company.
I mean,
unless you could show a relationship to some sort of style or haircut or something through data that you can quantify and show to a court that it's costing the company money, then that's a different story. Because if somebody's making you is creating a loss, that's a derelict of their duty in the job.
Well, here, let me tell you. Bottom line. When you work for a company, I'm not talking about a private-owned business or, because a private-owned business, the owner, whether it's a man, woman, whatever, they can do whatever the hell they want. Within the rules of discrimination and whatever, that's bound by federal and state laws.
But don't you think going after a natural hairstyle I mean, granted, there are white people with close crop hair, there's Hispanic people with close crop hair, but generally it's mostly black people with close crop hair. Don't you think it's a little bit of a racial bias to go after a way of having a woman having longer hair?
That is the case, yes, it is. But when you look at a company, bottom line, nobody really truly cares what you look like if you are making them money. If you are a productive employee, if you make the company money, they really don't care. I've come across people in my line of work. This one guy, he was one of the best, he was one of the best network security, like penetration testers I've come across.
The penetration tester.
Penetration tester.
Yes. I think I need a bio break after this.
And he would, not to be funny, but he was gay.
Yes, there was an earlier podcast where the penetration tester.
Yeah, let me tell you about this dude. This dude.
Are you on you?
Huh?
Are you on you?
No, I'm not on me.
Go on you.
I don't want. So penetration tester, the gentleman, he dressed funky. He dressed in matching vests and colors and matching John Lennon glasses. He had hair. He looked like Gary. Picture Gary Oldman. Picture Gary Oldman from The Fifth Element if he was going to be in GQ magazine. That's what this dude looked like. He looked totally out of place. But you know what? Nobody cared because he was good. Nobody cared he was gay. Nobody cared he looked out of place in like a business office. He was good at what he did. He saved the company a lot of money. He saved in future lawsuits because of lost data or whatever may have happened from his from his testing, from his analysis and findings. You know, so when it comes down to it, if you have dreadlocks, who cares? If you have whatever,
Yep.
you know, even if you have face tattoos, they wouldn't give a crap.
If you make the company money, and you're a good worker, that's in a truly capitalist society, that's what been mattering. But in the way things are in the world today, like, this just seems very odd to me. And basically, that's what we had to talk about tonight. All you guys on Minds, stay tuned. We're going to continue the podcast, and there'll be some extra footage and bonus features and some other goodies for you. BitChute, we're up to 40 subscribers, which is nice. We're getting one every day. You know, we started there not too long ago. We're even growing on YouTube, which is.
Go Pirates.